After a woman strapped a bomb to herself and concealed it under her clothes, she spotted a large crowd nearby and decided to detonate her explosives amongst the unsuspecting men, women, and children. However, as she approached the oblivious people, she suddenly saw every jihadist's worst nightmare coming at her from the corner of her eye. Although Muslims perpetuate the notion that Islam is peaceful, the Quran states that the highest form of worship is martyrdom. For those who die while killing unbelievers, Allah promises a greater reward than to those peaceful Muslims who sit at home. According to this scripture, it is absurd to believe that jihad is meant to be an inner struggle, much less that Islam is to be practiced peacefully. When a teenage Muslim dedicated her life to Allah, she knew that her best chance for an esteemed position in the afterlife was to take out as many infidels as possible. After hearing that a wedding ceremony would be taking place in Maiduguri, Nigeria, she strapped explosives to her torso and headed to disrupt the celebration with deadly force. Unfortunately for her, not only would she never make it to the venue, but her plans would be thwarted in the most un-Islamic way. Africa News reports that the unnamed jihadist was walking toward the venue when she was suddenly attacked by a wedding guest's dog. In a miraculous move, the canine viciously latched onto the amateur terrorist and began tearing at her flesh, taking her down to the ground and refusing to let go. In order to put an end to her suffering, the Muslim team detonated her explosives, killing only herself and the heroic dog, a choice that will earn her no compensation in the hereafter, according to her own beliefs. Incredibly, the intelligent canine seemed to be aware that the jihadist was a threat without the guests knowing what was about to happen. The animal's selfless actions saved numerous lives, as the nation is plagued by deadly suicide bombers on a daily basis. According to Daily Caller, it is unknown if the dog had any bomb detection training. A female suicide bomber with an eye strapped to her body attempted to infiltrate a wedding ceremony gathering in Belbello community of Jerry, said a spokesperson for the Nigeria police force. She was however prevented by a watchdog, so she had to detonate the eye to kill herself and the dog. The dog was owned by a resident in the locality. Dogs are considered unclean and even demonic, according to Islamic texts. Since the Prophet Muhammad declared that dogs prevented blessed angels from entering Muslims' homes and subsequently ordered the killing of dogs, the animal has been a target of disdain and cruelty in the Muslim world for centuries. While Muslims perpetrate the mass onslaught of canines, some pooches appear to be getting their revenge. In February 2016, police were stunned by what their canine officer did during the pursuit of a Muslim suspect. After Osama Ansi led Edgbaston police on a drunken high-speed chase, he crashed his vehicle and abandoned the scene on foot, which he soon realized was a huge mistake. Officers released their German Shepherd to take down Ansi, which he did with ease. However, as soon as he pinned the criminal to the ground, he became aroused. Unbeknown to the defendant, there was a dog then following the car, prosecutor Mark Phillips said coyly. How can I say it? The defendant and the dog became closely acquainted, somewhat closely attached for some time. The canine officer humiliated the Muslim offender by subjugating him to several minutes of unwanted sexual activity. The dog reportedly sank his teeth into Ansi's leather jacket and held him at bay while the excitable pooch had his way with him. In March 2014, Muslim men were captured on camera throwing objects at a pair of German shepherds. When the offender gets too close, the owner unleashes the dogs, prompting the provoked dogs to launch a graphic attack on one of the perpetrators while his companion escapes. The man appeared to have learned his lesson as the canines nearly tore him apart in a stomach-churning act of self-defense before the owner pulled them from the injured man. Thanks to the ignorant prophet's religiously motivated phobia of dogs, Muslims have cast aside one of the most intelligent domesticated animals in the world. Unfortunately for them, their bigotry has come back to bite them in the most perfectly ironic ways.